St. John chapter 16 verse 20. But the world shall rejoice, and ye shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned into joy. I believe the Bible does not say that our sorrow will be taken away. It just says that your sorrow will be turned into joy. The same sorrow that we are facing now, God will just turn it into joy. Because at the back end of your sorrow, there is a joy. So we are not to cast away our sorrow, because at the end of that sorrow, there is a joy. And I believe that God will turn things around for our good. And I believe that all things work together for them that love the Lord and that are called according to His purpose. So we have an assurance here. We have an assurance that God can intercede for us at this moment. So we should not even be worried about this trial, because the trial is actually our greatest blessing. The Bible doesn't say that God took away the captivity of Job. No. The Bible says the Lord turned the captivity of Job. He didn't take away the troubles, the trials. No, He just turned it around. Because God knew that everything bad has something good in it. I believe that God can just turn the situation around. Whenever God touches something, it turns into good. Remember when you were a sinner, the Lord didn't decide, I am going to destroy the sinner and I'm going to replace it with a saint. No. The Lord took the same sinner and it just turned the sinner's life around, and that sinner turned into a saint. That is the only difference between a sinner and a saint. Is a saint is just a sinner that is turned. And I believe that all the good in our life, it was just the trials that was turned. And I believe our sorrows will be turned into joy. The Bible says, Thou hast turned for me my mourning into dancing. I believe that God will not take your mourning away. How many of us are mourning during this time? How many people has lost loved ones that were dear to them at this moment, and they are mourning? But the Lord doesn't take away the mourning. In fact, the Lord even blesses those that mourn. He says, Blessed are those that mourn, for they shall be comforted. And I believe at this time, though we are going through this tumultuous time, though we are going through turbulent times, though it's a dangerous time to even live in, I believe that God can turn this sorrow into joy. Do you remember the story of David? The Bible says when David killed Goliath, he took the very sword of the enemy and chopped off the head of Goliath. God can use the same thing that threatens you to just destroy your very enemy. And I believe that God doesn't even have to use a sword of His own to kill the enemy. No, He can use the same thing that hurts us to heal us. There was a story in the Bible once. The children of Israel sinned, and the Lord decided, no, I am going to send some serpents among them to bite them. And this fiery serpents came among the children of Israel, and it bit them. And when they cried out, the Lord gave mercy to them. But He told Moses, take up a serpent, a brass serpent, put it upon a pole, and everyone that looks at this brass serpent will be healed. Now that is very funny. The same thing that is now killing them, they have to look at this thing, and this thing will now heal them. How is it possible? God has turned the situation around for their good. I believe that God is more present in the times of darkness than in the times of light. God is always near to them that are of a broken heart. Those that are going through hard times, through trials, through troubles, I believe that God is very near to them. I do believe that the lamb with a broken leg is always being carried by the master because he needs the master more. I tell you, in our trials, in our troubles, God has never been closer to us than now. Believe me, the Bible says in the book of Psalms 18 verse 11, He says, He had made darkness His secret place. In other words, he has hid himself in darkness. So when you go through a dark time in your life, God has made